Hey, it's Thursday, June 16th, and this is episode 7 of...
The Slayers of Boredom Podcast.
Oh, man.
Never gets old.
Yeah, it's good to hear that. What have you been up to? It's been a while.
It has been a while.
It's a Thursday show.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's just because you've been on so many vacations, really. You've been traveling.
I went on one vacation.
That was it?
Yeah.
What were the other reasons? You were
I've just been busy as hell, cleaning and doing things. It's none of your business what I've been doing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's no one's business what I've been doing, but I've been very busy.
Well, I've
Yes.
just been sitting at
It's
the
fine.
table waiting by the microphone.
Good for you. I've been working and sweating like a good little capitalist.
There you go. Be a cog. Make that machine run.
You see any good movies?
No, but the show, well, I mean, I have. It's just hard to rattle them off right off the top. But the show we're really loving right now is Made for Love it's got Ray Romano as the dad in it. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's like all futuristic. Yeah.
Thought everybody loved you.
Yeah. Well, she in the first episode, the main character catches him at fucking what he calls a synthetic partner, but a sex doll.
Oh, cool. So you actually see Ray Romano
Yeah.
fucking a sex doll.
Yeah. I loved Everybody Loves Raymond, but this is the role he was made for.
Oh, wow. Everybody loves watching Ray Romano fuck a sex doll.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be in every
there's
episode.
Evander,
I don't know
there's
why
Evan.
they do it, but
Oh, it's in every episode?
no.
Oh, my God.
Well,
Thankful for that.
what movies have been tickling your fancy lately?
Dude, I don't even know if I've seen any. I don't remember the last time we spoke. I finished Ozark. No, it's not a movie. Did we talk about that last episode?
We might have, but it is
I don't
one of
know,
the best
but-
shows, so that's the way to go.
That ending was crap. Anyways,
We can
and
discuss the ending.
I'm good with I'm up on Stranger Things right now,
Yeah, I'm behind on
which
that.
is awesome.
But I have heard incredible things, and I'm very excited to jump in.
You know what? Let's cut all this bullshit. I'm gonna segue. This isn't gonna ruin anything for Stranger Things for you, but we're gonna jump right into our topic, and I'm gonna lead into it with this. There is an awesome one-shot shootout scene in Stranger Things. One of the
Nice.
best I've seen in a long time.
Children of Men style?
What's that?
Children of Men style?
Not that long, but it's epic.
Okay, okay.
It's pretty epic. It's a solid, probably at least a solid minute. But it's very well done. It was awesome, and it involved a lot of firearms and a lot of bullets and stuff. And since there's been tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, left and right in this country due to a firearms epidemic, I'm using that word in my opinion, I suppose.
No, that's what it is. I mean, by definition. But
Yeah, I mean, school shootings they're an epidemic. That's what I was like.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say earlier. We'll start off with this. They seem to be a trendy thing to do. Like I don't know the right word. I don't want to say the hip thing or the cool thing to do because that's just totally the wrong words. But for a child with a lot of angst that has mental issues, has issues at home, whatever you want to call it, whatever is troubling this child or this young person that can somehow get a firearm like that in their hands and start taking out their peers, or in this case, children that were young.
yeah, it becomes their predominant option, is what it is. Where they look at their options and they think this one will make the biggest scene. And I think it has to do with social media. I don't think we need to really work with that. But making a name for yourself, especially when, what was this dude? He was just graduated high school. Everybody's going on to college, going on with the rest of his life, and he felt left behind. So he decided, well, I want to be remembered. And he does these kind of things.
Was that part of his motive?
Well, no. I mean, this is me putting thoughts in his head, but it's just kind of how the incel mindset is make the biggest splash to get your manifesto or mindset out there. And it becomes more and more the easy option, like I said, to just go pick up some heavy powered weaponry and some body armor and see how long people will speak your name.
Yeah. And there's the common argument. I mean, obviously, and we're all coming from, anybody that says this, I'm not judging where they're coming from. I respect where they're coming from, and I think it's a noble place, but I don't think it's the bigger picture. But coming from the mental health stance that we have this problem in this country, that's not exclusive to America. I mean, people have mental health issues. I mean, I think a lot of certain cases of them, like as far as like the rampant capitalism and the mental health issues that delve from that.
Yeah.
That's one thing, or just like the stress in America of like the pop culture and stuff, what it can do to kids, for example. But mental health is not exclusive to America. So just saying it's a mental health problem clearly is just that's kind of it's just a bullshit excuse.
Yeah.
I mean, the common denominator here is these assault weapons, and they are always these rifles, usually the 5.56. Well, they fire a 5.56 NATO round, which is a very high velocity round, through a self-repeating rifle in a magazine that probably holds at least 20, and it does ridiculous amounts of damage to the point where parents had to identify their children based off clothing.
Yeah.
And that's just fucking sickening. And people want to get all mad about like Matthew McConaughey for that shit. It's just like that drives.
That was such a moving speech in my world.
I don't care about that. It was a moving speech if you look at it like from a human standpoint. Like just like I don't care that he was a celebrity or whatever. But it was just the point is the man has a platform and he chose to say something when he other times in the past did not. And this happened in the town that he was born. A lot of people were like, "Oh, some guy from Hollywood." It's actually the man was born in Uvalde.
Yeah.
But
consider it visiting home to go there.
it just seems to me that people care more about their penchant for these rifles than they do about kids that are just so easily slaughtered by them.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to first excuse is mental health. And you're saying, we don't have a monopoly on mental health. That's an entire world thing.
Sure.
And when usually the person spouting off, like, what we need is more mental health in this country, look at their what they voted for over the past terms that they've had. And I guarantee you they're voting out money that goes to social services and to mental health. Even if you want to, because I'm all about more mental health help. But we can also do firearm reform. Yeah, I'm not saying, let's confiscate all the guns. I don't think it's possible in this country. We have
no the only answer to that. I mean, you can't. It's just that's just a bullshit rallying cry that the right likes to use to charge up their constituents. I mean, come and take it. Like, motherfucker, nobody's coming to take your guns unless you commit a felony. At that point, you probably don't deserve to have them.
Yeah,
because it is a privilege. It's actually not a right. And we're not going to get in the Second Amendment because people they're. It's like deliberate ignorance, you know what I mean? Ignorance is bliss to them. The fact they just don't want to see what the Second Amendment like really stood for, as far as like the militia and like the tyrannical government coming after you and stuff like that. And they just take it as like everybody can just have like 20,000 freaking guns and just do all this and like like all that crap. And it's just like it's just ridiculous.
It is.
But the only way that you could really get guns off the street, which there are more guns than people in this country, I think it's like 120 guns to every 100 people, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah. And if you look at the amount of guns in countries on the list, of course we're at the top. And again, and this isn't just military firearms; it's just for the people, in our society, and it's more than double, the next country. Yeah. It's outrageous how much. And, in 2020, from 2019 and 2020, when the pandemic started, gun purchases went up 50% from the previous year. And I can only imagine where it's going now.
Gun purchases go up after every school shooting, too. Because people think that eventually that hammer is going to come down and you won't be able to get them anymore. And I fucking hope it does.
Isn't that indicative to like the shit least. Country that this is? That a shooting, instead of fostering conversation about what the hell can we do to stop it, people arm themselves quickly get as much guns and ammo as we can in case they try to take it away.
I mean, there's two segments there. There's the gun owners that are just rampant gun owners that just have to have as many as they can for whatever reason.
Idiots.
And then there's the gun manufacturers who just want to reap in those profits. I mean, again, guns are not a tool anymore like they used to be. Guns are not the tool that they were when the Second Amendment was written. They are now they're a commodity. People, you can buy them. They're worth lots of money in some cases, and it makes a lot of people millions and probably billions of dollars. I mean, I know the NRA went bankrupt recently, but
gun manufacturers made $63.5 billion in profit.
Okay, so there you go. Combined, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and these aren't and again, like these are tools that are designed specifically to cause damage to flesh. Okay, to human bodies, to animals. Whatever. Okay, so don't tell me like, oh, we got to ban cars. The primary reason of a car is for transportation, to get you places. Okay, these things it is people that are profiting off of a tool that just kills.
Destruction. Okay. It's a destruction tool. That's it.
And then in some cases, like I am a gun owner, I have a handgun. In some cases, it is simply for occasionally going to the range. I keep it clean, and other than that, it's defense. Yeah. It's never going to come out with me anywhere into the streets. I'm not going to walk around with it on my hip because I don't even want to call that type of attention to myself. Yeah. But I have it for emergency situations for my family at my home in my bastion and to occasionally take it to the gun range legally and shoot.
That's what a responsible gun owner should do.
Yes, and I'm not but again, there is a GOP talking point saying like, we are not going to take away the Second Amendment for law-abiding citizens. You know what I mean? And like that's okay. We're not going to take these guns away anymore. But I think that they really shouldn't be sold continuously. And I wanted to circle back to the point where we were saying about how we can get them off the streets. The only way is just to try to incentivize people to do the right thing and like
buyback programs.
How many fucking school shootings is it exactly? Buyback programs, and that's basically it. You get your local law enforcement all the way up to the state level and the federal level, and you get as many campaigns as you can. You know what I mean? And get these buyback programs. Set aside some money to it instead of take it out of the military-industrial complex. You know what I mean?
I mean, they're proven to work. It'd be different if it's like, let's try these new things. It's like, no, let's do what other countries have done successfully, manipulate them how we can for our society, and see if they work. Trials, do them in small cities.
It's got a lot brighter in here, didn't it?
I didn't feel it.
All right, I'm going crazy.
Maybe that sip went right to your head.
I don't know. Weird. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Doesn't matter. I don't remember where I was.
Well, studies have shown that that's worked. Buyback programs.
Yeah, and it's also been shown that where you have more guns, you have more violence. And as simple as that sounds, it's more than that. It's like if you have a gun in your home, it's proven that you have now in your life created 200% more chance that you or someone in your family will get shot with that gun. And suicide rates by gun go up if you have the gun in the house. So you can look in a county and just look at how many guns they have, and if they have more guns than the county next to them, they're gonna have more gun deaths.
Sure.
So then zoom out. America has more guns than the rest of the world. We have all these problems. It's just that we just blow by it. We're gonna talk about the insurrection hearings here in a bit, but it's like that is really important, and we need to pay attention to that. But we really need to be paying attention to the gun reform stuff. What we looked up just previously before the cast was what was in the latest legislation that the Senate passed, and it is such a watered down pile of shit. Yeah. It's like harsher background checks between 18 and 21. No, that's not at all what we want.
There's never going to be the context that you want to like the in depth. Like I mean, like that's. They're just trying to pass legislation as fast as possible right now to shut people up. But like getting really in depth with these laws, I mean, is going to be extremely difficult with all the lobbyists. I mean, it's all about capitalism. They went from a tool to a commodity. People are going to lose money, and people don't want to lose money, and money is more important than the lives of gun victims, even children. Yeah. So what I and everybody wants to know, and you want to know, is what is it going to take to really create some change, and what is it going to take to get people up off their ass to create that change, to get things moving? Because I mean, if it's not a bunch of kids getting slaughtered for the umpteenth fucking time, what I mean? Exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's not. There's a lot of options that people want to throw out there, and I'm not trying to say that they're meritless options. We'll talk about school resource officers in a second, SROs, but we took a little clip from John Oliver. I don't know if this is fucking legal or not, what I did here, but we took a clip from John Oliver, and it's really, it's hilarious. And he's actually the next one that we'll get to right after this will astonish you, the stat that we're going to start off with. But this is what John Oliver had to say about what he thinks the issue is, and we're in line with that.
Yeah. It's gun control. It's meaningful, effective gun laws, but that hasn't stopped some from desperately pitching absolutely anything other than that as a solution.
The only solution is Christ Jesus, and being able to get some type of spirituality and prayer back into our schools.
Okay, so obviously that's not the only solution. That's fucking absurd. That's not a solution at all. Thoughts and prayers are not a solution at all. So like it was asking, like the first part of the question, what is it going to take to get people up off their asses to have some solutions? What are their solutions? And a lot of the people on the right and some of the centrist left just say school resource officers or arming the teachers. We can talk about both. But a lot of that episode from John Oliver was talking about school resource officers and actually how they don't. A lot of times, unfortunately, what happens is, and especially in like urban areas where there's minority kids in those schools, is the school resource officers are basically just there arresting kids. You know what I mean? They're not there to protect them from a shooter.
Yeah.
They're just arresting them. You know what I mean? It's just, and that's at that point, you know, I mean, kids aren't. All it's going to do is just make kids more pissed off, anyways.
Yeah. And didn't you say that out of the 179 they studied, or whatever? What was the stat?
Yeah, I was gonna get to that.
Oh, my bad.
Oh no, it's cool. But having a school resource officer there to protect somebody with just a firearm as well. First, that's another thing I want to get to. Just a handgun is not going to do anything against somebody who's wielding a rifle that fires that 5.56 round. Like, it's not. If they don't have body armor and they get a shot in, you know, they might do some damage quickly. Who knows? But as far as like the lethality of the weapons, you know what I mean? At long range, that shooter can take out a guard with a 45 or something. Probably has something like that, even like a 9mm, which is a higher velocity round. But still, at long range, that shooter is going to be a lot more accurate against somebody like that. And if you want to arm a teacher, that's not going. What are you going to do? You're not going to give them another, you know, an AR and just put them in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Arming
hey, kids.
the teachers is the most ridiculous one I've heard. Like,
Exactly.
These people didn't train. If anybody knows any teachers, I would say the majority of them have no training at all to want to handle firearms. And then, you know, the joke of they can't even choose what literature to put in the school, and you want to give them guns. It's just asinine to even think that these arguments have any validity. Why we give them any kind of.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, teachers have to buy their own school supplies in a lot of instances, man. Like, you can't, you want to strip away like learning materials for kids and like books and stuff that you're afraid of, but you're willing to, you know, you don't want any budget for that. You want to strip the budget out of all that shit, but you're willing to, I mean, you do understand you're going to have to pay for ammo, you're going to have to pay for these firearms. Well, you want the teachers to pay for the firearms that they don't want to have to carry.
Yeah.
You're going to take care of their training. And by the way, are they going to be able to train more than the police? You're going to have a budget for that? Because most cops only have to qualify with their weapons a couple times a year. Like, the feds are a little different, but they don't have the ammo. They don't have the budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact is, when you think about it, people that love buying up their guns and people that love to shoot them all the time are the ones that are training the most.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's nothing scarier than somebody that might be, in a lot of cases, misinformed, uneducated, and having steadfast conviction with a firearm in their hand.
Yeah.
That terrifies the fucking shit out of me.
You think about it too, that if teachers are to be armed, then every classroom has a gun in it now. Like, when I was a kid, I wasn't that good of a kid. You know, I wandered to school when I wasn't supposed to and tried to get into things I wasn't supposed to. I never had any thoughts of finding weaponry, you know?
Yeah, and you can't hide this from these kids anyways. They watch the news and they're living in the social media world, not when we were going to school. You know, you can't hide this shit. They're going to know that teachers, like, if there's laws enacted, they're going to know those guns are in their schools.
Yeah. So it could even create more issues. But it just seems like such a not even a Band-Aid, just like a distraction, another distraction, when all we're asking for is common sense gun reform. You look at where the loopholes are and address them. Mm-hmm. You know, gun shows are a problem, address it. The Charleston loophole, I didn't even know about that until the Uvalde shooting. But in Charleston, there was a shooting at a predominantly black church, and you probably remember this.
That weird kid that looked like he had like the penis head haircut, and they gave him Burger King.
Yeah,
with the punchable face.
Yeah,
fuck that guy.
He went to get a gun right before this shooting, and they started doing a background check. But because it went over 3 business days, that takes too long. He gets the gun, no background check, and then he goes and kills a bunch of people. It's Charleston loophole. That's what it's called. And like that to me, okay, there it happened. I see it. Let's address it. Don't leave it out there. Like, why we are, 18 to 21 is going to be a harsher background check for 3 days. Yeah. Fuck you. You know, it's nothing. They do nothing. And then we just move on until the next shooting. We had like 10 in 14 days.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's really hard to move on from all these shootings.
I mean, yeah, well, here you go. Here's some statistics. This is from the Sandy Hook Promise, which, you know, if you say that's a conspiracy, then seriously, shut the fuck up. That's a non-starter. You're a douchebag. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, Alex Jones is a fucking, oh, man.
We
could have a whole episode on that turd.
Oh, my God. Money hungry.
Anybody that believes him is literally, like, you're you've been had
Yeah.
to the extreme. But okay, each day 12 children die from gun violence in America, and another 32 are shot and injured. Guns are the leading cause of death among American children and teens. 1 out of 10 gun deaths are age 19 or younger. And oh wow, for children, firearm deaths occur at a rate more than 5 times higher than drownings. You think drownings would be a lot more, Kids are always
It used to be car accidents. That's what
Yeah.
led it until like 2020. And then
Yeah, sure.
it was gun death from that point on. This is our children. Every kid in America, the leading cause of death is gun violence, and yet we still can't really have the conversation.
Yeah. And this is just guns in general. And again, I mean, when it comes to handguns, there's certain, I don't know, guns in general. It's such a tough argument, man. They're just like, I get it. The self-defense thing for handguns at home, I think, is still there, and people have shotguns and whatnot. But I don't know. I definitely don't think that you don't need a weapon as efficient as that rifle that can fire that 5.56 round.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, it's self-repeating. Magazines, 20 rounds or something. I mean, the velocity of those rounds, they'll tear right through you. They'll destroy you.
Owners of those guns like to think that, like, this is my last resort if the government comes down to get me, so they're ready just in case. Like, I'm going to need this kind of firepower to take down the government. And then the government, like, you could not compete.
Yeah.
It just, like, I get it. And that has some, I could see that a little bit in the sense of tyranny and in the face of tyranny. But I think we're beyond that in this society, that you just would be kooky in that moment. You may have a crew of militia members in a U-Haul with you, but you're still incorrect, and you're not going to do anything with your weapon to take down the government.
No.
So
They
there
have
is
drones
no
that they
reason.
can probably just, I'm sure a lot of you just have all of your guns in one place because it looks cool and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, some of you might have them strategically placed throughout the house, which if you don't have kids, you're the only one that lives there. I mean, yeah, sure, that's cool. I wouldn't, whatever. I guess you have every right to do that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, people aren't coming to your house that often, like sit in your lazy boy and hit a switch and all of a sudden blow their nuts out with a shotgun.
Yeah.
But I assume most of the people that are like gun nut, crazy, hungry people that, they probably have most of their weapons all in one place or all in a gun safe. Mm-hmm. And, if the government really wanted to, they're just going to fucking bomb your house with a drone, like you don't have that type of technology. But regardless, they're not going to come take your weapons.
No.
If you're doing something really awful, like joining like a militia group that happens to be like a right-wing extremist shit and like going into, like a U-Haul van or something like that and like going just to basically just try and fuck with some people that are just trying to enjoy a pride event when you could have just stayed home and have just, done whatever you did just to
for those that don't know, because this is a really cool story, is that this white supremacist group traveled to Idaho
something
from
front.
Yeah,
Patriot Front.
Patriot
or some
Front,
shit.
yeah. And there were 31 of them, and they got caught because somebody at the hotel they were at called the police, and in like the quote is that there looks like a small army getting into a U-Haul. I can only imagine this little bitty, being
Sure.
like, oh my, better call and say. And so they pulled him over, and yeah, they had like riot shields and smoke grenades, all kinds of crazy shit. And what were they planning to do at a pride parade?
They were just gonna go and fucking cause mischief, hopefully. I mean, who knows? Like, who knows what they would have done, fucking lunatics. It smelled like fucking incel,
Oh, yeah.
depressed,
They released
fucking
the
whatever in
pictures
there.
of it,
Yeah, I
and
know.
it's
They're
quite
all
a
like,
palette.
it's hilarious. Oh my God, it probably smelled so bad in there.
Yeah, 31 of them in a U-Haul.
Yeah.
I would have loved to lift the door, though, as the cop. Like, oh, get out. Get out. You're all idiots.
But you hear a lot of zippers being zipped up real quick. That's all right, though. I mean, if that's like, I have nothing wrong with gay people. But, I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like they could have been in there touching each other.
Hey,
The weird
power
incel
to 'em.
energy.
If that's what you want to do in a U-Haul, I don't care. But you start getting all militia hungry and wanting to cause riots. No, go. Get out of society, hopefully.
Yeah, no, anyways, you're going to a Pride Fest to protest and you show up there crammed into a U-Haul with a bunch of dudes.
Seems like you're
I mean,
proud.
like, yeah. Like, why don't you just own it? Why don't you just show up to the Pride Fest and have a good time?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, the statistics that really bother me a lot, which is another preventable way to do things, to look for signs. You know what I mean? And this is another thing I was going to get to about, like, again, there's in a lot of schools, they have more funding for school resource officers than they do for counselors. You know what I mean? And you gotta, I saw a great meme where it's just like, these kids just need school shooters, like before they become school shooters, just need to be loved, and I feel like that really is everything, man. Like it's so easy to damage the psyche of a child from the get-go, from the beginning. Like you can traumatize them for their entire life when their mind is really first like that sponge starting to soak things up. You know, they can start to think that like huge infractions or really scary instances could be the way of the world. So they just, they become defensive. They become, it just, who knows what can be done to a child as they grow up. And I think that's what really could solve a lot of these issues.
Yeah.
And
Behaviorism
a lot of these,
101, the more hostile home environment creates more hostile children.
And there's ways to, if there's not even counselors in schools that can like see this type of behavior, but instead you have school resource officers going around and arresting these types of kids and stuff. I mean, like, I feel like there are ways that you can't see these things coming, but then in 4 out of 5 school shootings, at least one other person had knowledge of the other attacker's plan but failed to report it. Again, what if like maybe putting school resource officers in there and having these kids being harassed instead of having a counselor that can try and speak to them, a professional can try and speak to them and get on their level, might prevent these types of things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I don't know. It
seems like the logical path, but
so
no.
Before,
we're going to talk about doors.
Yeah, I know. Have one door.
Yeah, let's have one door. Don't clear it with your fire marshal, but let's have one door.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, the good guy with a gun didn't help at all. I mean, you saw an entire police force stand down. Like,
man.
That's sickening.
That was ridiculous.
But anyways, let's look at this, for example. This was a woman, I have her name here. Important to give people credit. Her name is Jill Peterson. She's an associate professor of criminology and criminal justice at, I believe it was Hamline or Hamlin College. And out of a study of 159 school shootings, there were actually somehow more casualties and more damage at the schools that had school resource officers. Listen to her talking about it here.
So when we've looked at this and looked at school shootings and attempted school shootings, what's remarkable is that when you have armed officers on the scene, you actually see more casualties. Often because that perpetrator is suicidal, they're familiar with that school, they know that officer is there, and so they come in heavily armed.
So again, you made a good argument though. Like, don't they come heavily armed anyways? And you're right. They do, but I think who's to know? Like the shooter Uvalde showed up with 2 rifles, and he left one of them outside of his truck. Maybe it's because he noticed the school resource officer wasn't there or something. I don't know. I don't want to speculate like that, but at the same time,
I'm a creature of statistics. 100%, if somebody comes, and what she just said is indisputable.
Yeah,
I think they would all come very, very highly. But when we had listened to the quote before the cast, and I said, but don't they just come up highly armed constantly? But then he was like, well, and then they wear armor, but it would probably change the psyche and their plan to be way more strategic and have more firepower to take down the authorities. And they're not working.
It's the thrill of a
like
gunfight.
These SRO are like across the board doing great things, that they're stopping shooters. It'd be different if that was happening, but that's not even happening.
There were 2 instances in the past 20 years where an SRO stopped a school shooting.
Yeah. So, more power to them. Huge fucking heroes.
Sure.
I love those people.
Fuck yeah, man.
Without looking into them, but I imagine they were great.
But think about it. If cops don't even have to qualify more than once or twice a year to have firearms, and they're the ones that walk around the streets carrying them, you know what I mean? They're supposed to protect people or, whatever.
Yeah.
You can't expect a teacher to just start doing that all of a sudden. Again, like you're always talking about, especially these, fiscal conservatives, you want to be real conservative with our spending, and all that shit. Where's the budget? You don't want to get books. You don't want to get pencils. You don't want any type of education reform at all for the kids in this country. You know what I mean? You fucking college charges fucking people out the fucking ass. You know, like education in this country is a fucking joke. It's a sham and it's a racket.
Yeah.
So don't tell me you want to start putting guns in teachers' fucking hands when you don't even pay them enough and they don't have the resources they need to give a child a proper education. It's just when you think about it, it just seems so absurd. I just really hope that people aren't just, I feel like a lot of times people are just latching onto these absurd ideas just because they want to get people like me, especially, can see I'm emotional sometimes. They just want to get me riled up and like, why would you want to do that? Like what? It just doesn't make any sense to me. It just seems so like such common sense to just like,
but so many people
not introduce more guns into schools where kids are getting killed.
Yeah. That of course. But to me, from conversations I've had with, people that follow the MAGA cult, and even with the insurrection hearings and gun violence, it's like, it's the way it's always been. It's the way it's always been. And it's like, what I don't understand why you think that change isn't possible. But it's just
a cop out.
Yeah, and it's like I don't want to look at that information. I don't care. It's the distractions really work. You know, that we even discuss the doors and we discuss arming teachers and we discuss SRO people, that like now there's 3 that we can dispute with facts and say these are probably not going to work. But individually, to the research type person, they're going to say like, oh, okay, well, they're thinking of something. They're trying out some ideas here. When no, they're not. They're just throwing darts at a wall for no purpose other than to distract you so they can't make any moves.
Yeah, it really is all about distracting.
It is.
And it's all about money. Congress stalls.
Breaking it down.
But again, really, that is in the end, the common enemy is not each other. It is the people that
profit.
Exactly. It is lobbyists and it is corporations, and they have politicians in their pockets. You know what I mean? Like this, there isn't.
Most Republicans that leave office go to lobbying firms and become lobbyists because they see, oh, well, that's where the real money is.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's not telling, there's another spot to go, hey, that might be an issue. Let's make that not possible anymore or something. But, that's a whole nother situation. But either way, it's just, it's
and
really
Citizens
easy to
United, man, for real.
Yeah.
Like that really needs to end. And I think that's honestly something that not enough people are talking about. If you want gun legislation, you know what I mean? Get fucking gun money out of politics, and it'll be a lot easier to. I mean, it does seem like the constituencies of the red states still, I mean, are big. They're big enough and powerful enough voting blocks that love their guns. That's probably still going to be again an issue for them. But I feel like it'd be a lot easier if you get dirty money out of politics, if you end Citizens United, which for those of you that know or don't know, is basically just allowing any type of money from any corporation to flow to any candidate, whatever. And again, this sways legislation and stuff to benefit these corporations. So
corporations are considered people in this country.
So again, this the biggest ones in this country, at least the most diabolical ones in this country, and I'd probably say at least the 3 biggest ones would be pharmaceuticals, healthcare. I don't even want to lump those 2 together. They're both separate because, just medical insurance alone.
Yeah.
And then the gun lobby. I mean,
oil's big.
Oh yeah, sure. What the fuck am I talking about? But again, oil generates the whole machine. The other things are more of like.
I heard, Biden wrote like that open letter to tell him, you need to do more for gas to bring gas prices down. Yeah, big moves. But
Biden.
The argument they came back with, like, we've done enough. We're at 97% capacity, and I was like, oh shit, okay. And then to follow that up, it was like, with the way you want to move to renewable energy, we need to plan ahead and make profits because they're going to go out of business. So they are literally gouging us. When Biden says, hey, you need to get more gas out there, they go, nah, because of renewable energy coming in, we need these profits to sustain our.
Yeah, and they are making record profits right now too. They are.
Yeah,
and there was legislation that a bunch of I think every Republican voted it down. And the simple thing, it was literally just something about capping the prices and not allowing them to go up or something like that. And I could be wrong, but I do know that there was some legislation that could have eased some pain at the pump that every Republican voted down.
Oh, of course. Why would they? Even if they wanted to, even if they thought it was a good idea, it would be under the Biden administration, and there can be no wins. That's all they care about.
Well, again, the fiscal conservatives, the ones that don't have, they're not regulatory. You know what I mean? They don't have any restrictions. They don't have anything holding back, like the foaming at the mouth, rampant capitalistic bulldog that is the fucking, the people that drive this country through our economy and money and shit like that, and they're greasing palms with legislators, man. Like, that has always been the conservative side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Always been about just making that money at all costs.
It's outrageous.
So every Democratic president that comes in there, they're going to raise gas prices. They're going to make it. They're going to make it seem like people are saving less money.
Yeah, it's all a show.
Biden again is only guilty of that insofar as that he's at least ostensibly pushing for renewable energy.
Yeah.
Those
days are done.
And then obviously through what Sean just said through that letter, they're just like, you're pushing for renewable energy and we need to make money. So clearly, I mean, they just said it right there.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to praise Biden or anything, but it's just
this is how
black and white things have become. Trump Biden is not as powerful of a what's the word? Like he's not as much of a cult of personality. Clearly, not even close as fucking Trump is. That's why Trump is so dangerous. That's why you can literally just be like, yes, Trump alone is a dangerous person.
Yeah.
Like you can blame a lot of things because of Trump, because of the way that he just like foments this anger and like this
the repercussions.
For just the things he says and the people. I mean, he led people to the insurrection, which is what we're gonna get to next as we approach here. But I just want to say that again. Our common enemy, Americans, whether you're on the right or the left, it is not each other. It is the people with billions and billions of dollars and sway on Capitol Hill, and that is the gun lobby. And we have to start with them as well if we want gun reform. That is another huge thing.
The March for Life that happened a few days ago, 400 plus different locations where people were out protesting. I don't know, it said thousands, but with 400 locations, I would think hundreds of thousands, but I don't know. You know how I feel about protesting. I mean, get on the streets if you're angry and get out there, but I don't think that has any sway with any legislation. They have to vote against their own better interest. And just something I wanted to say earlier when we were talking about the amount of money flowing into the Republican coffers, it goes into the Democratic coffers as well, if not just equally. And the thing that bothers me is you can check this out. You know that they have a salary, so you can look at how much they're worth. How much their worth has grown since they've become a congressman.
You're talking about Citizens United as well.
What is that? I mean, I know what that is, but what do you mean?
You're just saying like Democrats have made as much money from lobbying firms as
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely
across the board. But
there shouldn't
people
be
don't
any
look into
corporate interest or money in any legislation in this country. Like
no, it's what is that doing? It's only swaying opinion towards the corporations, not the people's choice.
Stifles innovation as
leaning
well.
back.
That's because I've talked too much, and I don't know. But Sean knows a lot more about the January 6th committees, and I think we should transition to that while we're approaching 40 minutes here.
All right. Well, for those of you not watching, you should be. You should be. Oh, well, you want to wrap up the gun stuff?
I said I think it's as simple as that. The problem is guns.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry.
It was refreshing though, as refreshing as it could sound after the Uvalde shooting that you came out. You said, you know, like I've come around.
Yeah, I guess we should end it with that because end this particular topic with that. Yeah, I mean, I am a gun owner. I did want to get I really wanted to get a freaking Sig Sauer rifle. Again, I don't like to call them ARs or assault rifles because, again, a lot of people on the left still don't seem to understand that AR doesn't mean assault rifle.
Armalite.
Yeah, it's a company. But anyways,
you know what bothers me though? I mean, it's a meme, but it's funny. Is that they give a shit about AR, but pronouns. What?
Okay, that's good. But anyways, again, that's why I just refer to them as, you know, rifles that fire. That I mean, they are assault rifles, but I won't call them ARs. It's an assault. It's a rifle that fires a 5.56 NATO round. Well, that's what our military fires. It's a 5.56 round, and it's a very high velocity round, and it's very deadly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why our military uses it, and these things are deadly at, fuck man, like 1,000 yards if you're a good shot. You know what I mean? Like a really good shot.
Yeah. You still kind of want one.
Well, dude, I mean, shooting's fun, but you know what? I'm gonna have a kid in like a month and a half, and I just can't like, I don't know, man. It's just not. I saw a picture. There's this one little boy, man, and again, I have a 3-year-old, and I'm having another boy. It's not like I wouldn't feel bad for the poor girls that were killed too, but there was a one kid from Uvalde, and all it took was just him looking fucking fly, dude. Like, he had this awesome shirt on, you know what I mean? And he had his hair parted, and he just looked awesome. He looked like he was just ready to fucking go in there and slay the fucking day. And it killed me, man, because the one image I've always had when my wife was pregnant with Owen is just, like, the day that I'm going to be watching my son get on a school bus or something and, like, seeing him from behind with his little backpack.
Looking dope.
Yeah. So, it fucked with me. And I can't, and you know, I'm not going to say that, like, because I knew of this information before McConaughey made that emotional speech or whatever, but I knew that one girl's face was completely destroyed from this ammunition, from this type of gun, which is the favorite amongst all of these shooters, okay? It is this gun in particular. I don't think it should be in the hands of civilians moving forward. I've come to that conclusion now. I just don't. And I don't think that the government's ever going to take them away. I don't think that that's possible. I think the best they can do is offer the gun buyback programs and really start pulling on people's fucking heartstrings, because I don't know what the fuck else it's going to take.
Keep the conversation going. Just don't. When somebody's like, I don't want to talk about that. Be like, you have to, because kids are dying. That girl that had. I don't want to sound insensitive. The little girl you just described.
Sorry, her face was just so destroyed that she had to be identified by a green Converse shoe with a heart that she drew on it. That's how her parents identified her. And
earlier that day, her parents were there with her while she received an honor roll award. The parents left the school and said, "See you later," and then they'll never see her face again. It's unfathomable the kind of despair this shit creates.
So at this point, here's what I would say to you, at least for fucking starters, okay? Let me finish this with one, because I know some conservative people listen to this. What if you already have your rifle, you have one right now. I'm telling you, the government's not going to take it from you. You don't commit felonies. You continue to be a responsible adult. You know what I mean? That rifle's never going to take a life.
This is America.
Okay.
Yep, you'll have it.
So why at that point, like, is it really that big of a deal for you to not be able to get another one? You know, like, what about future generations? You know what I mean? Like, if you want to legally leave your weapon to your son someday when they're an adult, I mean, we need to have laws that are going to curtail that to a certain point, you know, once it gets to that, because, you know, people are going to speak about that as well. If we cease the sale of ARs, I just used AR, of assault rifles.
Get your pronouns right.
If we cease the sales of those, you know what I mean, then there's people are going to pass them down to their kids eventually, you know, and that's, again, you know, kids that can be in high school or whatever, but maybe you could set age limits there. But the point is, I mean, if you already have your weapon, like, do you need more? Do other people need more? Do you really think it should be that easy?
Well, they think it, and you know what? Fuck the January 6th insurrection stuff right now. I want to keep going.
Get into that, but okay.
But so if we don't get into it, you should be watching it. At least watch highlights of it. If you think it's the January 6th insurrection hearings, if you think it's one-sided, we offered all the Republicans, and they offered us like to add somebody to it, and they offer us Jim Jordan, who covers up sexual assault. Be like, all right, well, you know, we're not going to take you seriously. We'll take Cheney and Kinzinger and move on. But it's still just a presentation of facts. It's a presentation of what they found. But
let's talk about it.
Okay, fine.
We'll make, all right.
I've literally watched it all.
Okay. Well, was it going to be a final point about firearms?
No, I was just fired up. I just fucking hate it. And
I know, man. It's just,
I feel like we could keep going and going, and it might inform and keep people, like, for argument's sake, if you're a conservative, the way you just appeal to the conservative side and saying if you have an AR, then, you know, what's the point? Why are you fighting so much? And like dive into the research behind it. Look at statistics and say, like, since I'll have my gun, you know, then I'm fine. I can support background checks. I can support loophole closures because I have my gun. And probably you want people to get your guns legally. 90% of Americans all want background checks to be pretty fucking thorough. And yet, you know, we don't make these moves. What was I gonna say? Nope, lost it.
I think a lot of conservative people and gun owners, they jump to the extreme immediately. They just start being like, bah, you know, they're going to take our guns away. And
that's what it is.
It's a rallying cry, but it's bullshit. You know what I mean?
It's the crack door idea of, like, a little legislation leads to a lot more.
Yeah, sure.
And I was wondering your opinion on it, because I don't think that's true at all. I think then a lot of things would go the way I would like them to, with a little bit. You know, but so many arguments are like, yo, that's just the beginning. That's the ball rolling downhill.
They're worried about, like, opening the floodgates of, like, then they'll just take our weapons away immediately. Well, I mean, you know, I think we need to do whatever the fuck needs to be done to the point where we don't have any more fucking school shootings.
And there's already
so we do what we need to be done so we don't see school fucking shootings anymore.
Or a decrease. Maybe next year we have the same amount. I'm not going to say I'd be happy with it, but I'd be happy with some kind of change. But if you're only getting an increase every year, then something needs to change. And to say that, you know, it's just opening the door to gun confiscations, whatever, then why do we have background checks at all? That was the door opener in your mind.
This country's in so much fucking debt, dude. We don't have the money to go to war with our citizens. We just don't want people to kids or anybody to go anywhere and worry about being fucking killed by a fucking lunatic anymore. That has a fucking firearm that got it somehow and all we're talking about is them not being able to get it so easily. Yeah. And everybody's just automatically like, you're going to take our fucking guns and whatnot. Like, it's not that. An 18-year-old should not be able to get a weapon like this. Honestly, I don't think you should be able to get one until, I don't fucking know. When can you rent a car? A car is a pretty deadly thing, right? You're all saying cars are real deadly.
18. You can rent a car at 18.
I thought it was 25.
I don't know. Bam Margera smashed that car up pretty good. I think they were young.
Dude, fucking, he didn't rent that.
Yeah, he did.
Somebody rented it.
Well, he rented. He got the insurance. Remember?
Well,
This is back from CKY.
punishable by fine means legal for a price,
That's right.
and they probably had money. Regardless,
But
I mean,
either way,
there should be. I know
drinking, having a beer legally should be the first time. If you can't be trusted to enjoy a beer, then you can't be trusted with a gun. Yeah. And 18. None of us were fully ready for the world at that time. It takes a while to figure out how everything goes, and you're going to go through ups and downs in your situation. A lot of downs in some situations, a lot of ups in others. But to give someone the opportunity to cause so much destruction, everybody just looks at the statistics and sees the numbers of dead. Every one that's dead, there's a ripple effect of sheer destruction in these families and these lives. Sure. And that you can't.
A man's one of the teachers who was killed. That her husband had a fucking heart attack like 2 days later.
2 days later,
died.
those kids had to be
and
explained.
4 kids. Yeah,
had to have it explained why their mother was shot at the school she worked. And then, where's dad 2 days later? I need some comfort here. Oh, I'm sorry. He passed away from a heart attack. Those kids are fucked, and it's not their fault. It's our country's fault.
Yeah. And it just, I don't know. There's no, again, it seems to me that until we can decrease these instances or just wipe them out altogether, I mean, there's clearly, like we said, there's an epidemic. There's a trendiness to these things ever since Columbine. You know what I mean? I feel like that really started kickstarting things.
It did.
And now, again, it's like the go-to maneuver for a kid that's pissed off. So clearly we know that is an issue. This seems to be something that these kids maneuver towards wanting to do.
Yeah, they say.
Why? So let's look at they are mainly children. Pretty much all of these shooters are kids. They're school shooters. How the fuck should anybody, at that point, we should be like, well, nobody that's 18 years old should be able to handle one of these weapons, so we can't sell them anymore. Okay, so right away, that should be off the fucking board. And at the same time, I mean, anybody that's below a certain age, honestly, they should wait 6 months. They should wait a long ass time. There should be legislation in place to have people checking out profiles, fucking Reddit, fucking wherever those kids, Discord, wherever those kids fucking post all that shit. Like, they need to be, you know what I mean?
And you should, like, as the person trying to get the gun, allow that to happen. Sure. Like, you can have here's all my social media profiles.
Exactly. I mean, you start seeing, exactly. Here's all my social media, like, do a whole fucking check every single one of them, but I mean, kids could probably go on there and scrub some shit. You know what I mean? That worries me.
Well, you do your best, but there's ways. It's never really scrubbed.
Yeah, sure.
Data is stored.
Yeah, I know, but then there's going to be all kinds of legalities. It'll be like, they're searching your data without legal means, I thought it was erased.
They're doing that anyway.
Yeah, I know, but again, there's people that think it's not happening. There's all kinds of whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, people believe that they were fucking, eating babies or feeding babies into a machine to generate electric power or some shit like that. What the fuck?
What are you talking about?
Some crazy fucking, I forget, but that might have been another John Oliver episode I saw. Or somebody fucking told me just a crazy ass conspiracy. Yeah.
Babies for electricity.
It was like when there was abortion tangents again. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, we don't even have, female autonomy in the United States of America. When there were gun shootings,
they want these kids to grow up so they can have guns. Yeah. I mean, what the fuck?
Just more gun owners.
Yeah, exactly. They're more tax. They're tax.
Yeah.
That's really what they want. You got to pay your fucking taxes. Got to enrich your masters, man.
It holds you down too. Like, more power to families that want to have kids and enjoy that. But some families aren't meant to have kids, and if it were to happen and you were forced to have it, it will hold you down from a lot of things because it's a very expensive endeavor. It's a very time-intense endeavor if you do it correctly. So you have to reshape your entire life to be more catering, and that takes you out of the probably the conversation, which is what we need to, is my only defense to all of this is to keep talking about it and showing people the distractions and that nothing ever gets done. And when it does get done, it's bullshit just to make you appeased.
I don't understand why it has like it's just well, it's not going to happen to me, or my kids are growing up, but what about your grandkids? It shouldn't get to the point where it has to happen to certain people for them to wake the fuck up.
There's no empathy in this.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't, like, I can't understand as a parent. Again, everything you said about being a parent is fucking true. It's expensive. You lose a huge part of your identity. You know what I mean? But there's joys that you can't even, I don't know, I guess, I don't know.
Oh, no, I'm not
you
saying,
have to be a parent to, understand, you know what I mean? So, like, to me, like, I don't want anybody to be gunned down, you know what I mean? The shit in Buffalo, too, was just ridiculous as well, because that was, a racist incident. And that kid, he did scope that place out. He knew there was an armed officer there. That's probably why he won the gunfight with him, too. Because that guy was a former cop, but again, I don't know how often he was trained. Anyways. But being a parent, you know what I mean? I saw that kid. I don't remember what his name was. I apologize. There are a lot of Hispanic names. I probably wouldn't even pronounce them properly. But that kid, like I said, he was just looking so freaking fly. And I just thought about my son, and I just, I couldn't.
These are little.
I don't know.
Kids.
I'll tell you right now, somebody would fucking pay if that happened to one of my children at school. Somebody beyond the shooter, somebody would pay. Somebody would pay.
I don't know what that means.
I would do something about it somebody would pay some way, somehow, because
Parkland parents that lost their children are still fighting.
Yeah.
And getting,
assholes like Alex fucking Jones.
Yeah. They go to, congressional hearings and just tell their story. And it becomes a political, though that's just a political pawn of another blah, blah, blah. It's like, you lost your children and you want to do something. You want to be like, look, something needs to change, and go sit in front of a congressional hearing and speak about it. You're not lobbying anything. You're just trying to show real consequences to people.
Yeah,
that this could be you sitting right here.
That was the key term. You're not lobbying anything. So you have nothing to offer.
Yeah.
Anybody's listening, I'm making that money thing where I rub my fingers together or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Again, there was that one, the one father who's been really outspoken from Parkland.
Good for him. I'm glad I remember his face.
He approached Kavanaugh during Kavanaugh's hearings and went to shake his hand. Kavanaugh wouldn't even acknowledge him, turned his back on him and walked away.
And this is not a lobby.
There is video of that.
This is a guy that got killed, or got his.
He's lobbying for the life of his daughter. He's not lobbying for some fucking old white dude in a tower with billions of fucking dollars.
And one of our Supreme Court justices snubbed him.
Yeah.
Snubbed him. Didn't even shake his hand for photo's sake. Fuck you, period, Kavanaugh. But
do you remember
shake
that?
His goddamn
Do you
hand.
remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I watched those hearings. It was, you see the way he cried over the beer, It was a comical situation, and that he got sworn in for a lifetime appointment to make decisions on our nation is absolutely absurd. But the more I learn about each one of them, except for, the Democratic side, they're all garbage. Amy Coney Barrett. She's part of a cult that you have to call her mother.
Yeah.
What the fuck is she doing making decisions over this nation?
Let's just throw Tom Cruise so we can mix a little Scientology into this bitch.
Everyone
too.
needs represented. So.
Oh my God, dude. Let's talk about the insurrection. I want to learn a little bit. We're at 53 minutes. Just cram this shit in. I talk too much. You fucking talk. I'm going to listen.
Okay. Well, the point of it that I've been enjoying is that I thought, what is this but a distraction? Because we've seen it all. When you're just going to summarize it real nice in a presentation. But no, the first one had an hour and a half of straight up new footage that I had never seen. So you get, and if you watch this footage, that has nothing to do with any side. It's Republicans, but it's unedited, and they are vicious. And this small amount of Capitol Police officers are trying to defend off a crazy mob, and then they keep cutting to Trump and showing him, egging him on, and then talking about how he's known. The whole point of it at this point, after all these people speaking, is that he's known about that there was no fraud since the beginning. Everyone from William Barr to his daughter to all around him told him, this isn't real. And it's not because people want to say well, if he really believed it, that's what it is. It's it does. If you choose to believe something incorrect, it doesn't mean you're now infallible, for believing that. You have enough information. All of your people you hired, his administration is the people that are telling him, this isn't real. Like you're seriously not. You're barking up the wrong tree. None of this is real. You need to stop. And then this goes down. And the one today was monotonous and so boring. But it was all about Pence and how much he was like from the get saying nothing Trump's saying is true. To say that he would have some kind of superior power over this nation to say whatever whatever the votes tally to, I'm going to be the supreme ruler in this moment. And they want to argue that it's in the Constitution that the vice president can turn this around or some shit. No, it's just not real,
It's a formality for him to accept things and announce it. That's all, man.
Yeah.
Like, he can't just be like, nope, not going to do it, and just run off the fucking floor and just take off. That's...
Yeah. But I'd say if you're not going to watch all the hearings, watch the first one, at least so far. There's only been 3. And the first one was just from front to back. It's got that about like an hour and some minutes of just straight footage, and it is chaos and unreal. And then they have the one Capitol officer, the woman that she had the head injury from falling into the steps. It was like the first break, but she sits there and attests to the whole situation from front to back. She was I don't know if anybody's seen the video footage, but it all started with that bike rack getting pushed back by everybody and knocking down the Capitol officer. She fell and was knocked unconscious off a pole and then hit her head off the concrete step. When she came to, she ran into the firing line and got back up in it until she got pepper sprayed, and then was going to the tent to get help from the pepper spray when there was tear gas thrown in. And so they had to evacuate. And that was when she left the area because she was just too fucked up. And she's like, trembling at moments. And she's saying, I'm not combat trained. Like, that's not what we were there for. We're for crowd control. This was an insane war for like an hour, almost 3 hours or something. And everyone is urging Trump, and they just keep bringing up more and more and more information showing how much he knew and that he just like, please do something. Stop these people from doing this. And many hours later, he comes out and says, we love you. Please go home. Like,
this is all based off of a lie.
Yeah.
It is demonstrably false. Okay, he did not win this election, and that is a fact.
Yeah.
He also, and this should make you Trump supporters extremely upset. He also got hundreds of millions of dollars for people to donate to his Stop the Steal fucking.
That was a big part of the second one. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is. I think in essence they are trying to prove that he defrauded these people, which he did. But think about it, man. He took advantage of your ilk. The same people that you support, maybe some of our very few listeners that maybe happen to be conservative donated to his Stop the Steal campaign. Yeah. He stole that money from you. Okay, that is a fact.
They're doing 10
He
emails
lost the
a day.
election, and that is a fact. Okay, and the insurrection was all over this. People died over this shit, man. I don't understand what about this is representative of the America that you are so patriotic and proud of. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It doesn't make any sense.
I know. It really does blow my mind. It does. I'm sorry.
That wasn't the eye-opener.
Like, just because you don't like Hillary, like, okay, I get it, but, like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Why didn't you guys vote for someone else in the primaries, for fuck's sake, other than Ted Cruz?
Yeah.
God. Anyways.
But that's, it's been extremely informative. I'm blown by so much information. Hearing these people testify from like the internal conversations and the air all around them in that administration and how it needed to go down, the way he knew what he knew and the moves that were taken, and they have the ex-lawyers, that were first defending it and then being like, this is a losing battle. There were 62 different, they want to say, well, he never got his fair day in court. There were 62 different court cases that were thrown out for garbage. And but there's so much more. And you honestly, in 1954, they did after the McCarthy hearings. The McCarthy hearings were all about finding the communists, but he became, because the nation like fell in love with him for some reason for getting the communists out. He became somewhat of a demigod in his own mind and started making a bunch of horrible decisions. So he was investigated.
Yeah.
And when he was investigated, they did this big ass court hearing scenario where they just present the facts. And that's all this is. There's not going to be any legal situation after this, maybe if the DOJ acts, but that's not what this is about. It's just about we got a committee together, took all the information, and really summarized it so that this is what happened for the historical record. And I couldn't be happier that it's happening.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's going to do anything. I think we are just a complete lost and divided country. But that being able to look back in 10 years and say, like, when we're studying this, okay, well, at least we did the in-depth to figure out how this all happened. You may not agree with it, but it's real.
Yeah, once my kid starts, coming of age and starting to understand how ridiculous the world is.
Yeah. That'll be about the
I
time.
can be like, well, 10 years ago, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that DeSantis guy used to be the governor of President DeSantis? He used to be the governor of
President
Florida.
DeSantis.
You see Moderna and Pfizer authorized under 5 vaccines, and that can happen in now 49 of the 50 states.
Yeah.
Not Florida, because they're campaigning against it. But he's going to be our next president. Like,
yeah, he is going to be our next president, I think. And that fucking sucks.
oh my God. It's just another shit show.
Biden hasn't really done a particularly good job, but
No, he's a piece of shit as well. Quid pro quo in a world that needs drastic change.
yeah.
Or not quid pro quo, status quo. My bad.
Yeah, it's just more of the same.
Probably quid pro quo, though.
It's more of the same, but it's not off the fuck. It's more of the same that wasn't, great or anything. Certainly wasn't trending in the right direction as far as climate change goes, but off the rails is what fucking Trump was.
Yeah.
And off the rails with maybe a little more, I hate to say intelligence, but at least savvy when it comes to politics. Like DeSantis is going to know what to say. So again, keep that ostensible charm, but behind closed doors, he's going to be just as bad as Trump because the guy's a fucking bigot and a douchebag.
Yeah, it's the same bag. It's just like DeSantis is smart and Trump's an idiot.
I don't think he's smart. He's a Harvard graduate. I don't necessarily think he's. I think.
Oh, I think he's very intelligent. He knows exactly what he's doing.
I think he is politically savvy in a way that Trump is not. He has tact. Trump is just off the fucking rails, and I don't know. Maybe
what's scarier? Honestly, Trump's scarier. Because you're putting an unhinged person in the seat again. Whereas
I think
DeSantis,
so, because I don't think DeSantis is going to tell people to storm the fucking Capitol if he doesn't win the presidency. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think DeSantis is going to do that. I think if DeSantis wants to win, if he wants to get the Republican nomination or the Republican fucking, butt plugs behind him in Congress, he's going to have to start fucking disavowing Trump.
Oh, he already is. They're battling.
Yeah.
It's happening. And I mean, if you don't see that writing on the wall, like what do the Democrats have coming up? Who do you see holding the presidency? There isn't anybody because we don't have anybody.
Yeah, we don't have anyone. We're fucked.
Yep.
I'm an independent, but again, at this point,
as a nation, we're fucked.
In this bipartisan system that I'm thrust into as an independent, I can't. I'm probably going to vote in the left. Well, I will,
of course,
for the foreseeable future, based on what there is in front of us.
It's our only defense is to vote,
unless Kinzinger decides that he wants to run and somehow wins the nomination. But that'll never happen.
I mean, even if it did, he's too. It's not enough for a DeSantis win. We got too many kooks in this country, man. I don't know.
I was just talking about on the right. Yeah, you're right. We don't have anybody on the left.
No.
Biden probably will run again, but he won't win.
No, he has done nothing.
There's too many centrists. They're going to vote their pocketbooks.
Yeah.
Inflation's going to kill them. Gas prices. They're just whether they believe it or not. They're just gonna. They're going to be like, well, whatever. My life will improve when I have somebody that, lets all the money flow to me because there are definitely left, fucking left and centrist people out there that earn a lot of money and are probably losing a lot of money too.
Well,
so
we have all that to look
people
forward
vote
to.
their pocketbooks.
And if DeSantis becomes president, which he will, we'll have plenty to talk about. So it does bode well because I believe with the coming of your child, there will be a large break probably that we're going to have a hard time getting together. So, we'll power through.
He's due in August. We're going to try and get one more in. I think July 16th is the next available time that I will have. So that puts me about probably 2 at tops, 3 weeks out. So we'll see, people.
Yeah.
For any of you people that want to listen to us go way over an hour, well, not way over, but over an hour because whatever. Sorry.
I had plenty to talk about. I felt like I wasn't just putting filler in there. I feel like I was curtailing myself.
It was good.
But
I mean, we're going to be telling a lot of any of our, more progressive listeners stuff that they've already heard or they want to hear, but I know a couple of our conservative people.
Yeah.
Hi. And I want to answer I want to answer one of their questions real quick.
Okay.
Ask it. One of them asked me if we take these weapons away, then won't human beings just resort to just killing each other with sticks and stones and stuff like that. And I'll be like, well, yeah, I mean, to a point, sure, but that's telling me that humans will always find a way to kill each other is, I mean, that's almost like intrinsic, like in human beings. Like there's always going to be conflict and stuff like that. But like we're talking about something that makes it extremely easy to kill human beings, that generates shitloads of money every single fucking year
statistically
for people that ignore children being, you know what I mean? Like it's just, that's what I would say to you, buddy.
Yeah, statistically,
and I do love you.
You can't, you look at China, or you look at even in the UK where they have an epidemic of knife violence, but it pales in comparison to gun violence.
I mean, think about how much harder it is to kill somebody with a knife. How much harder and more even more intimate it is to kill somebody like that, or to strangle them. You know what I mean? It's just so much easier to pull a trigger and run away. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So clearly, I mean, we're talking about the levels of violence being committed against humans here that seems to be in our nature. So why make it easier?
Yeah.
That would be my answer to that, man.
It's pretty cut and dry in my opinion, without hearing the question coming from him. But yeah, we could always kill each other no matter what. But it's the rate of killing that we're trying to bring down.
Yeah, not bring back. Bring
backwards.
Bring it back down. Bring it back down.
Okay, yeah.
Bring the killing volume down. All right, well, shit, man. Episode 7, good times. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Some info for y'all people to
take it to the streets.
Yeah, take it to the streets.
Enjoy your day.
Our podcast is called This.
The Slayers of Boredom Podcast.
Yeah.